This is the Wandering Mike.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wandering Mike. Tonight I'm here with Loui. How you doing, Loui?
G'day. Thanks for having me on. I'm good. How are you, buddy?
I'm excited. We're back at the Shipwrecks Museum again, sitting on our lovely bench.
Quite the setting.
Yeah, it was quite a hot day today in Perth. Was walking around, knocking on doors again.
Ah, yes, the door-to-door salesman type of lifestyle. Yeah, I was up north, a little bit inland, on a sort of rural farm, kangaroos everywhere,
Oh, really?
installing a video intercom system, which is, you go up to somebody's door and you press the button
Right.
and you can speak to them through your house. So you don't have to open the front door if you don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, funny you would say that because I do encounter those on the other side of the thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's a daily thing. Yeah, that's right. So I'm guessing sometimes they open, sometimes they don't if you state.
Sometimes the Ring or whatever company it is thingy just says, we're currently not available. I'm like, well, I would have guessed by you not opening the door, but thank you for letting me know.
How did you go? Did you manage to sell any solar?
So funny enough, like this week, I actually did 4 every day, which sometimes I get like 3 in the morning and then that kind of feels good. Today, I felt like I got 1 in the morning and then we always do a break. Like our mornings are longer. We do a break around like 2:30 and then we get back to it at 3:30 and work until 6. So the afternoon after the break is always shorter.
Yeah,
So
right.
before the break, I got like 1 today. So I was like, oh shit, I guess it's going to be a shitty day. But I got 3 again. So for some reason, 4 is my number.
At least you're being consistent about it.
We are supposed to get 5. But I mean, not everyone.
Baby
Barely.
steps, you know. How long have you been doing it now?
Pretty much exactly a week.
Yeah,
Today marks the 1 week mark.
God, how long does it take to? How long's a piece of string? With learning things, it's slow process for me. I'm a slow learner myself. Yeah.
No, I definitely feel like, and that's kind of why I got into it as well. Is I just wanted to pick up that kind of. I'm always keen on picking up communicational skills in whatever regard, and I just feel like I haven't really looked into the sales skill of it all, and I feel like it can also help you in your day-to-day life. You just feel more confident just coming up to people and like presenting whatever it is. Ideally, it's something. Well, maybe I shouldn't say too much. Ideally, it's something you truly believe in. Which
Yeah.
obviously the solar is. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working for it.
Sustainable energy.
No, it is a good thing. There's worse things to be selling door to door. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely take these skills and basically use them for yourself for whatever your own personal projects are. So that's why I was keen to get into it and like develop that. And there's still ways to go.
I imagine it must help a lot with confidence.
Oh yeah, it does.
Meeting a lot of strangers, sparking conversation, just working on the spot to hopefully change their mind or get them on your side with you.
It really and again, a week isn't, like you said, isn't that long yet, but I can already see the differences from day one. I was like, I'm not gonna say the brand name. I'm smarter than that, but I'm like, hey, I'm Mike from blah blah blah, and then I always like they looked at me that sort of way, like, who the fuck are you? Why are you telling me this? And then I felt like, oh, and I stopped and I was like, I'm here because I want to sell you like, and, and now I don't even. They could be doing the death stare, and I'm just gonna throw, hey, we're selling solar, so we're in the neighborhood because of you know. Yeah, you do it a couple of times and you just don't care anymore.
Practice makes perfect, and yeah, accustomed to it, I guess. It's something that I've just never thought I'd be able to do. I mean, I'm sure with doing it enough times, but it'd be a big fear of rejection thing, maybe something like that. Yeah,
it's also something I never thought I would do. It's actually something I actively said I wouldn't do because um, I actually listeners of the podcast might know, but I don't think I told you. But before I started traveling, going to New Zealand and now Australia, I was working in Portugal at a call center, and I was basically starting as a customer support representative, and then I became trainer after like half a year, basically training people in customer support. And it being a call center, there were all different kinds of projects, and
Mm,
there was the opportunity to go out instead of customer representative to go into like sales projects as well. And I always said, because they obviously be paid better, I always said, I'm not the salesy guy. I'm not going to be doing a project where I have to call up people and sell them something just because that's not who I am. But
mm.
yeah, now I just felt like you said, there's a lot to learn from doing that. Like it's not just about selling stuff to people, but it's what you can take away for yourself.
Little bit of personal improvement sort of in the mix.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, well, we already went just just talking, which is cool. Just makes my transition harder to actually get to talking about you. So, yeah, Louis, what is it? What is it you do? You told us you've been installing the video thing on a farm, which is
Mm.
pretty cool. So, yeah, if you just want to tell the people where you're from originally, obviously I know, and I don't think I've ever asked you that, so I'm actually keen to hear what brought you to Australia.
All right. So I am originally from New Zealand, if you couldn't tell by the accent. I'm from the northeast coast of New Zealand on the North Island, from a small fishing village called Loui. I'd say the population's a little over 500 people. So being in a big city like Perth, like this, I'd say it's not the biggest city, Perth, but it's a big change for me.
Right.
Even in Fremantle, where we are right now, people call it a town. I call it a city. Um, so yeah, I basically spent most of my life over in Lee. I What have I been up to? I was just doing me. I was never living too far away from home. I was caught up in the. It's never a bad thing, but I was caught up in the small town mentality.
Right.
I just I don't think I'd ever lived more than 30 to 40 kilometers away from where I grew up, my mum's house, and I felt like over the last few years, I've had a big few changes in my life and reassessed where I want to go and what I want to be. And I sort of got the offer to go traveling with my cousin 2 years ago.
Right.
And he invited me on a surf trip to Indonesia
Mm,
because he has some Indonesian family. So we went and
right.
stayed with them over in the island of Java and surfed some incredible, scary waves.
Nice.
And I spent 2 months there. I progressed on to Thailand, did all of that, and saw Vietnam. And then I'd had a taste for it and wanted to keep it going. I returned home for a little bit, saved up my money, left again, went to Indonesia yet again because that's one of my favorite places on earth. Um,
Nice.
and after that, I'd spent every last dollar I had nearly, and I decided I'd go to Australia essentially because it's beautiful. I know there's so much to see, and there's no visa troubles for a New Zealand citizen. So
True.
it's much the same as you being in the EU, I believe. I
Yeah.
think you can stay indefinitely in most of
That
the EU
that's why it
countries.
was so easy for me to work in Portugal
Yeah,
because
right.
it's part of the EU.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
such a blessing, right? So
it is
for a
so
New Zealander,
nice.
it's the EU equivalent. And I came to Perth because I was looking at flights and I saw Perth was the cheapest possible place to fly to. So I was literally down to not a lot of
Right.
cash. So and the other reasoning was come here, make money, and also wanted to do the surf season. Probably
Mm,
specifically down at Margaret River area, which is renowned for having some of the best and most terrifying waves in the world. So I came
Right.
here to sort of push myself and experience something new, live in a new place. So I've never really spent much time or lived in a different area before. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at these days.
Right. So there's a bunch of things that I definitely want to get into. Because again, the people might already picked up on it. There's actually some things that align with where I've been as well. So I've been to some of the countries you mentioned and for longer periods as well. So I want to talk about that as well. Um, but before we get back to Indonesia, Thailand, and chat about that for a little while, um, one thing as well is the surfing because in Portugal it's a big thing as well.
Mm.
So I actually learned how to surf in Lisbon as well. And
Ah,
if you're um, not good, I'm just gonna preface that. But I did learn to love it. It's just such a nice feeling to be in the water and just there's something about it. Yeah,
you know what they say? The best surfer is the one that's having the most fun. And I think there's a lot to take away from that
right.
because no matter the activity, the sport you're in, I think a lot of people, including myself, get carried away with wanting to be the best or um, get just like disappointed if they're not very good at it. But that I
Right.
think that saying sort of if you can apply that to surfing and a lot of things, if you do it for the enjoyment and just that, um, yeah, you are the best at it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good saying. And I just instinctively thought back to uh, Portugal as well when you were saying scary waves. Because
Mm,
I don't know if you've ever seen the waves that get around Nazaré. Which,
yeah, the biggest wave in the world, supposedly. Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's had the record-breaking rides, like the Sebastian, the German guy. He surfed over 100-foot wave.
yeah, which is yeah, it's like 30 meters something, like 30 plus meters. At least that's what it says in their museum there as well. It's like world's biggest wave and
I just
scary.
the thought of that for somebody who is confident in bigger waves, that is just not on my level. I'm really awestruck and impressed by people that can push themselves to that level. They do it with a jet ski, so it is assisted. You're not
Hmm,
paddling in because
right.
the velocity of a wave that big doesn't actually allow you to paddle in by yourself. So you need the
Hmm,
assistance of a jet ski or something to pull you into it. But
right.
the fact that they're on something that big and risking their life every time they go, yeah, takes a lot of courage. Yeah.
Because when we were there, the waves were nearly as big. They were N and I'm saying, only like 10 to 15 meters, so
Only.
half of the world record, but it was crazy, like, 'cause the way Nazaré is built, you basically the city is like on top of a hill and you're looking down onto the beach and basically there's like a little lighthouse as well and these waves are almost coming up to the lighthouse and it's just from obviously you can be down at the beach and look at them as well but we were too lazy so we just looked from up there and it looked impressive and then it's like building up and you're like, "Wow," and then it comes crashing down and you're like, "Holy shit." Imagine you being under there. It must be horrible.
I think they get the biggest working of their life, you know?
Yeah,
All sorts. The fact, I mean, I've been held down for, it feels like minutes, but a big
mm,
wave will hold you down for only, say, 10 seconds normally. These
right,
guys train to be down for minutes at a time, like a free diver. Free divers can
right,
hold their breath for a very long time, but when you're under that amount of stress and pressure on your body,
mhm,
you use a lot of energy to even just hold your breath. And it's
yeah.
the time you can hold your breath for in that situation is a lot less than just like a person
If
underwater in still water.
mm,
So, yeah, I think it takes a lot of training. I feel like you can definitely, even as somebody that goes on the smaller waves, you can definitely go out above your comfort level, and realize when it's a little bit too late sometimes. And there's a
Mm,
few times where I've come up crawled back up onto the beach and lay there and thought, wow, how did I get out of this one? Um,
right.
yeah.
It's yeah, that's why I mean, when I'm saying I love to be in the water, I also have to admit that I've never tried to surf any big waves.
Hmm.
So, uh, it must be, um, do does one know things like that? Like, would you be able to answer, like, how big the biggest wave were you were surfing? Is that something you know?
Um, wow. I'd say the biggest waves that I managed to surf was end of last year. I was in Sumatra in the
Right.
Mentawai Islands, which are regarded as one of the best places on earth, most consistent. So you can almost surf every day of the year.
Oh,
It's the
wow.
most lush, beautiful islands I've ever seen.
Mm,
But when I was in the island of Sapora, they had the I think the locals said it was the largest swell they've ever seen there. And I wasn't out on that day at the main
mm,
spots because I knew my level, and I watched some of the boys from the shore. One of them, I watched one drop in, paddle in and drop into the wave. He
yeah.
managed to fall, break his foot, and snap his board in half on the same wave. And how they get back into the beach, I don't know, but they managed to. And
Right.
so yeah, the next day after that swell happened, it had calmed down just a little bit, and it looked just a little bit less deathly. So
Mm,
I managed to paddle out at a beach there, and I'd say you some like people talking feet, meters. I think an easy way to talk about the size of a wave is head high, double overhead, triple
right.
overhead. I'd say the waves on that day I went out were about triple overhead, and yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That's
made me reconsider my choices after I'd paddled back in, but worth it.
yeah, I didn't expect that. You were just I mean, the people don't see you because we're just doing audio, but you're just there like, yeah, triple overhead. Like it's nothing.
It's a progressional thing. I've only been doing it for around 5 years, and you can only imagine what people that have been doing it for 20, 30 do.
Mm,
It's just the amount of time spent in the water, it's,
right.
and your tenacity and stupidity sometimes, that, yeah.
It's um I mean, I sometimes do that I just take answers away by sharing my own experiences, but with you obviously having like say 5 years, way more experience in surfing than I do. Um just disregard what I've said
Hmm.
earlier, but what is it for you? What is it about surfing? What excites you about it?
Um, I think it's the challenge. I think it's the challenge of, especially with when it gets bigger, pushing yourself. I think you know what they say about doing something hard. If you start your day by doing something incredibly hard, the rest of your day goes easy.
Yeah,
They say the same thing about martial arts and things like that. Just testing yourself day upon day sort of grows you and builds you, and that's one of the motivations. The other motivation is just I grew up by the ocean in this fishing village I was
right.
talking about, and yeah, I'm a water boy. I'm a Pisces star sign, so I feel like I'm drawn to water. And
It's just meant to be.
yeah, and the other things like just the experiences with wildlife you have. If you spend that amount of time in the water, you see all kinds of things. I've seen orca whales. I've seen
Wow.
I've seen the world's rarest dolphin, which is a very small, maybe just over a meter long
Oh,
dolphin in the North Island of New Zealand
the
called the
one
Maui
in
dolphin.
Maui.
And there's only, did I just say? I think there's about 50 of them left, so they're
Right.
critically endangered. Yeah. So yeah, just the experiences you have out there too. It really it's like a drug. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can let it rule you a little bit too much at times, but I think it's a good thing to be addicted to.
But how about I mean, obviously dolphins super cute. But how about being in the water with an orca whale?
Mm.
How is that?
Well, they're quite well known for little to no attacks on humans. There's not a lot of recorded ones, or I don't know in the wild if there has been really any.
Mm,
But that one particular time I saw one, I was by myself in my local home surf break, and it was a sort of a overcast, stormy day. I was sitting by myself, and out I
mm,
just managed to turn, and out the corner of my eye, I just see. I think it was a female because it was just the largest thing I've ever seen. This
right.
full breach, full jump out of the water like a dolphin, about 100 or so meters away from me, and that seeing something that big, even if you know it's semi-friendly, you all you want to do is just get
Yeah.
back to land. So I ran across the top of the water like Jesus and sort of looked back in the water in awe. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely. I didn't want to try them, you know. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Um, I feel no, I actually don't know if we. I think we did talk about it, but I'm not completely sure. But I feel like the next logical question I have to ask you about doing it here in Western Australia. Um, but even in Indonesia, I reckon, if when you're out there, is the thought of a shark, of an animal that could hurt you being there, does that weigh on your mind?
It's in the back of your mind sometimes. I find before I go out, I might think about it. Or you hear the lore, you hear the things like Western Australia is obviously famous for there being a lot of sharks. I think
Yeah,
that goes with the whole of Australia, but for some reason, I think there's a lot of a lot of people know that there's a lot of great whites and bull sharks and things out there. But the way I see it is that I've been told you can just walk out of your front door and get hit by a bus in the morning.
yeah,
Anything could happen at any time, and something's going to get you at the end of the day. And I don't know if that's a logical way to look at it, but it's a way that gives me a little bit of calm that we're all going to die at some point. So if a shark gets me, I don't think it was maybe the worst way to go.
no, I mean, definitely makes a better story than got hit by a bus. Like,
Yeah, right.
even if
Away
it
to
is
some
home.
slow, miserable. Yeah. No, I just when I get in the water, it's just you sort of forget about it. You're just so focused on
Just
not
right.
getting smashed by a wave or just the beauty of being out there. And there's usually when you're with other people, there's you feel calm in a group. And I think the amount of people that are in the water versus the amount of attacks there are, it's
Yeah.
you find a little bit of reassurance in the fact that there's thousands and thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands that are over these ways, and for maybe one or two attacks here and there, it's pretty good numbers in my opinion.
No, it definitely is. But obviously, and I'm not gonna make this a whole thing, but
Mm.
obviously the media is gonna be all over this. They're gonna, oh, another attack, and oh, we're gonna spread some more fear, you know?
I actually thought I had an experience the other day, but it wasn't quite. I was down in Margaret River region at a particular surf break, and I saw this big grey. I was sort of by myself, and I saw this big grey thing slowly come up underneath me.
Mm,
Looked like might have looked like a shark, and I just sort of froze for a little second. Okay, just calm down. It's slow. It's not doing anything yet. It
right.
passed by me, and as it passed, it sort of rolled, and I saw the underneath of it, the belly, and it was white. And the first
Mm.
thing I thought was, "Oh no, it's a great white."
Oh,
And another couple seconds passed, and it came up to the top of the water and gave a big spout of water came out. Oh, it's a dolphin.
right.
That's all right, but yeah.
Yeah. I would've yeah, I'm not gonna say what I would have done because it's not PG. Definitely painted the water brown.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, yeah. Oh, mate, I was halfway there. Yeah. Might have painted the water yellow, but yeah, so much water you couldn't see it.
And then it turns out to be a dolphin, so that's, um so before we move on from surfing, but I'm just I just feel like surfing is a thing that, firstly, I never had someone to talk about that was like so into it and done it for like a longer period. And to me, it is something that I just find very interesting. And I feel like you said when you were talking about the wildlife as well, like it's more than just sport because it also gives you the experience of just seeing different spots, you know, like seeing different beaches and seeing all these kinds of things. So basically, another question I wanted to ask to explore some more stories is, do you have um, a favorite one that's basically in the top of your head? If you're like, oh, this afternoon, this beach was amazing, or or something like that.
Um, one of them would be just the backdrops you get. I was at my local beach at home called Omaha Beach, and I was sitting out there with a bunch of mates. And as it happened, a thunderstorm came in and rolled over us, and
Mm,
there was lightning, forks of lightning everywhere. It was
uh,
a little bit unsettling. It was far enough away that you felt safe, but
mm,
sort of what happened was the storm rolled over and it managed to sort of halt or stop right over the top of us. And it was as if the sky had split perfectly in half. And on the left
mm,
side was this crazy, bright, beautiful thunderstorm. And on the other side was the most beautiful gold orange sunset with the local Mount Tamahanga in the background. And it was just like this heaven and hell sort of split down the middle
mm,
feeling. There's plenty of other stories out there, but I think some of those moments where you just you're feeling like you're living in the moment, and you're like, wow, I couldn't be in a more beautiful place right now, and
mm.
I'm really grateful for the place I grew up in, and being able to do that in and around my hometown is just such a special thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing, I mean, I do have to mention it, but people are probably sick of it because I obviously interviewed a bunch of Kiwi people while I was
Yeah, yeah.
in New Zealand, and one of the
Kia ora.
recurring Kia ora. Um, one of the recurring topics there that I just always wanted to bring in as well because I was so amazed is um y'all's or users or whatever you guys say, but like y'all's way of living with nature and just respecting nature because it honestly was. And I mean, I lived in a couple of countries and we're going to get to that as well because Indonesia is actually one of them as well. So yeah, I want to talk with you about Indonesia as well. um but I have to say, the moment I landed in Auckland, and Auckland obviously being the biggest city there is in New Zealand, and even there, I landed and I immediately had this feeling, wow, they're living in tune with nature like no place I
Mm,
have ever seen. Like you can feel it and
mm,
you can feel the respect that people have. And also, maybe you can also compare, especially now being in Australia, just how the people are still respecting all the Maori kind of cultures and taking away their lessons and are living in one with nature. So I feel like that's something that people in New Zealand definitely have a grip on, like really, yeah, respecting and living in tune with
mm.
nature.
You do notice that with people. I think we realize how a lot of us realize how blessed we are to be where we are. We're in a place that's you could call it a small country, but it is quite large. It takes 25 ish hours of straight driving to cross
Right.
the islands. Um, but we're such a small population with a lot of land, and that
Mm,
means that there is a lot of nature. There's a lot of not a lot of people living in certain places, which
yeah.
we're very lucky for. And you do notice that people. are very integrated with the Maori culture. They're very accepting these days. There was a time when Maori culture wasn't so accepted. You know, after the colonial phase and things, they tried to
Mm,
sort of whitewash it, like a lot of countries.
right.
But
Like Australia.
Australia, any colonial country, regardless of
Yeah,
the country that colonized them, you know, it's just that conquering sort of thing. But it's what happens. It's always happened through time. But I
yeah.
think New Zealand, I think since the is it maybe the 80s or the 90s, a lot's changed, and people have really started to accept it again. The Maori language has started to be spoken a lot more,
Mm.
and it's getting taught in schools and things like that. And yeah, I was taught it a bit of Maori in school. Not that I remember a whole lot, but yeah, yeah, it's times have changed, and I'm really happy.
And it is everywhere as well. Like not everywhere, but it's on street signs.
Mm,
It is out there, you know?
yeah, yeah. So that happened recently. I think it might have changed again. We had, you know, you're always getting swings of power, and we
Mm.
have the Labor and national government. I think what the Labor government did was bring back a lot of the street signs and a lot more awareness of Maori culture and language. And then I think the newest parliament that's happened has sort of removed that, unfortunately, because I think
Oh, really?
there's a place for both. You know, like we're never going back to how it was before the colonial times. So
Yeah,
I think to accept both is stupid not to really. You know, we're all one people. Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, New Zealanders they're very. I think they're very in tune. Yeah, I think as I travel, I do see that with people in other places too. But we're one of a kind, I'd say.
No, I'll definitely concur, and that's what I always tell everyone that that's been like my main takeaway, and the experiences I had as well. You know, walking the Milford track
Mm.
down there in
Oh, did you do
Queenstown.
the hike?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
5 day hike.
Wow.
'Cause a cool thing was, I actually did it guided, with because there's only one company that does the Milford Trek guided, which is Ultimate Hikes, and the hostel I was working in, or at in Queenstown was owned by the same company that owns Ultimate Hikes. So, we basically housed the guides while they were off track,
Oh yeah.
and, because of that, we got a nice discount of 80% because it's usually so expensive to do it guided, and I think I ended up paying like 400 or 500 bucks for the 5 day hike, which includes like all these lodges, with like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you basically you're getting more food out of it, and
That's a bargain. $100 a day.
yeah,
It
exactly.
costs more than that just to stay at home sometimes.
No, it does. Um, but the experience itself was so amazing, and sometimes you forget as well, or I forget how used we are now to just having reception everywhere.
Mm.
Just things popping up on your phone, do, and being 5 days without reception is just so
Bit
refreshing.
of a grounding reset experience.
Yeah. And then when we're getting close to the end of the track, almost into Milford Sounds, which is like the closest town, city, whatever you want to call it. My phone started going off. I was like, oh no, I'm
I'm
back.
going back to reality.
Yeah.
Or this day's reality. What time of the year did you do the walk?
Um, it was coming into summer.
Yeah.
I think it was mm, early November.
I almost don't think you'd be able to do it in winter, right? It'd be too harsh, but
Yeah, actually, not on the Milford track, but because the guides were coming in because they only opened up the season for October, and they kind of came in like the end of September, and
mm,
they did like their uh test runs and everything and trained the new people coming on for the season. And I know that they did their training hike on the last week of September, and they had to postpone, or basically they started it, but they had to stop the one on the Rootburn track because the Rootburn was snowed in.
Mm.
Like the pass was snowed in, so they did like the first day, and then they helicoptered everyone out and waited for the snow to be melted pretty much, and then helicoptered them into the first launch again and basically continued
I think
the
that's
hike.
something about New Zealand with hiking and going outdoors is it's quite a safe place in a lot of regards, New Zealand, but for hiking especially, I think it catches a lot of people out.
Mm.
It the weather changes so fast there. So if you don't have the right kind of equipment and things like that, that exact
Yeah.
thing can happen. You get snowed in. I mean, just you need to be prepared in the elements out there, even if it's like especially the South Island because it's all mountainous and things. It could be the middle of summer and it could be the hottest day, and you start the hike, and the next day it could be like a foot of snow sort of thing. It's just very unpredictable. So because you have there's a walk that I've always wanted to do. It's called the Te Araroa hike, which is a
Right. It's like,
nearly 3,000 kilometer long hike
yeah,
along the
it's basically
length of New
the
Zealand,
whole,
the whole
yeah.
shebang. Yeah. Um, I was planning on doing it a year or two ago. Didn't get round to it, but it's
It is
a lot of walking.
because I do think we're talking about the same thing. I think most of the people also called it TA. That's the
Yeah,
one you're
TA.
talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Crazy. I wouldn't. But again, that's just something I really admire about New Zealanders. That's not a thing you say,
That's
right?
us. Yeah.
And, um, is because obviously I did it guided, and even though I love being in nature, I have to admit I probably wouldn't have done it on my own.
No.
But like the enthusiasm you guys have to just, like go tramping and just put up a tent and just go for 5 6 days out, like you said, into the wilderness, and then getting surprised by like a snowstorm, because what we also always said, like what the weather says for tomorrow might not even be true in two
Mm,
seconds like
exactly. That's one place that you can never rely on the weather report. I mean,
yeah,
you know, they'll say there'll be rain tomorrow. There won't be. It's yeah.
yeah,
Growing up, you just never trusted the weather there, regardless of where you were, north or south. Yeah,
yeah. um so yeah, I obviously always love to talk about it, otherwise I wouldn't direct the conversation there. But in case the people are by now sick of hearing of New Zealand, which hopefully they aren't, because it's a great country, everyone should see it. I loved it. Um, Indonesia.
mm.
So, um, basically, I went, and everyone's gonna know this already, but I lived in Java, close to Jakarta for 1 year
Oh,
because
really?
I was studying there. It
Oh, wow.
was part of my studies of environmental technologies. So I went there, yeah, for pretty much studying or 1 semester, and then 1 semester I did an internship in the lab. Um, and that's why I also know how beautiful Java is, because
Mm.
a lot of people, um, when I talk to them and they're talking about their experiences in Indonesia, I'm like, "You mean Bali, right?"
Yeah, Bali's basically its own country at this point. Like,
Yeah,
it's a beautiful place, but there's so much more to see, right?
and I mean, I'm not gonna hate on Bali, but
Mm,
it was for my taste too touristy,
mm.
and I always tell every one of my friends, "Go to Lombok if you
Yeah,
wanna go to an island
it's a
like
good
that."
next step sort of thing. It still has the setup, it still has everything you need there.
Yeah.
Unlike, you go to other places in Indonesia and you really have to be able to be a backpacker. You really have to be ready for really long bus rides and
Mm,
not being able to speak to anybody, just relying on Translate or learning some basic Bahasa. Uh, so
yeah.
yeah, Lombok's a good next step for somebody that's sort of just been to Bali and keen to see somewhere else. Beautiful. It's got the Mount Rinjani walk, that volcano, and
Yeah.
if you like your surfing yet again, it's good for that. But yeah, there's just so much to see there. I would say my favorite island that I've been to so far would be Sumatra. Uh, yeah, so wild and beautiful.
It
Tigers,
is.
elephants running around, orangutans.
So, have you because Sumatra is one island I haven't done. My professor, the one I actually did the internship with in his lab, um, who coincidentally was also German. Funny enough, and he just loved it in Indonesia and just been living there for years. He actually, while I was doing his internship, he went on a long weekend. He went to Sumatra and did like a jungle walk into the jungle, and he did see an orangutan. And
It might have gone to is it Luang Prabang or something. There's
yes,
close to the Lake Toba region. I think sort of the upper middle of the island. There's an experience you can do there, either one day or several day hike you can do and go and
that sounds about right,
find the big
Luampa.
orange monkeys.
Yes, that's no, that's definitely what he did, like a sort of safari where he was guided by a local, and they took him in there, and he showed me videos of, and it's just it's amazing.
Mm. Some of the most incredible rainforest. Just the colors, the bugs, everything.
Yeah.
Plenty of snakes there. But there's the I think worth checking out is the Lake Toba there as well. It's a huge lake in the center of the country, and
Mhm.
it's a I don't know if it's an extinct or dormant volcano. It was one of the largest eruptions in like not recorded history, but while humans have been around.
Right.
It's some it's supposedly wiped out, over 70-80% of the human population, according to
Oh,
the
wow.
scientists at one point. So that
Mm.
was a super volcano, and that took us down to a very small population again, and we somehow managed to get back
I'm
on our
back
feet.
again.
So that is such a geologically, tectonically active archipelago. It's just
Yeah.
always something popping off there. I was traveling with a friend, and she'd have a app on her phone that told you every earthquake that happened in Indonesia. Not, I don't think it's a great thing to have in some ways because you're gonna feel
'Cause
it if
you're
you're close enough
aware.
to it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You just, I don't know. I don't think you need to know. And every night you'd put it on your phone, and then you wake up the next morning, check it, and there's been 6 or 10,
Yeah.
earthquakes last night, all over different places. So it's a very alive place in a few ways.
But it is so, and obviously I forgot all the names, but it has these beautiful volcanoes which are just, um, super cool to go. We've been to the one which is basically on the West Coast, close to Jakarta, where it's like on a little island off of the West Coast. I don't know the
Oh,
name of it.
um, Krakatoa,
The
or
Krakatau, yeah,
the Indonesians say Krakatau.
Krakatau,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's
So you
yeah,
went
like,
there.
we went there and we hiked up the Krakatau, yeah, the Krakatau, that's what it was called, yeah. The and it was beautiful, and then, we also went to East Java, before I did that stint in Bali and Lombok. We basically did wanna travel through Java, so we went to the east, and there is this big famous, volcano there as well. Why don't I remember any names?
Um, there's one called Mount Egen, and
The
then there's
Egypt.
another one, Bromo. You got Bromo and Egen, and I think most people go to Bromo.
We did walk up Egypt, though,
You
I'm
did
pretty
Eden? I've
sure.
done Eden. That's the Blue
The
Fire volcano.
Yes,
Yes. I think there's only
like,
2 volcanoes in the world that
blue
have that phenomenon.
purplish,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
a, reaction to the sulfur deposits in the mountain, and you get a when it combusts, you get a blue flame coming out of the crater. So
yeah,
yeah, I was lucky enough to see that as well.
that's
Uh,
super cool,
yeah.
and
That's about an hour's drive from where my Indonesian family is from. So when I went and stayed with
oh,
them in East Java, yeah, they
nice.
took us on that walk. Incredible experience. You do it in the middle of the night. You
'Cause you have to
leave at
wake
about 12 or 1 a.m., and then you get there, walk up and get there for sunrise, and you're up on the crater watching the sunrise. So
that's amazing.
It's things you never forget, right?
Yeah. Yeah, those volcano, hikes up there, it's something else.
Mm. Recommend. Yeah.
'Cause you don't especially in Europe, like, Italy obviously has the Vesuvius, but, in Germany and Portugal, you're not hiking up a volcano, like, it's just something and with the whole like, the whole fauna around it is different anyway in Indonesia, it's just yeah, it was like you said, it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Thing.
Um, so that's basically where you been hanging around, where you, did your initial, um, basically surf what you said, like, your surf trip with your cousin was, like, around
2
East
years
Java?
ago when my travels began, my love for traveling began, yeah, so
Yeah.
I started over there, stayed with them for about a month, got an amazing experience, got to try their food and experience their
Mm.
culture. I was lucky enough to go to, like, a Muslim prayer ceremony, so I was
That's
invited to go with all the men to they do it at a different person's house each week, I think, and they
mhm.
host, and you're sitting in a room, chanting, doing all of the, you know, reciting the Quran sort of
Yeah.
thing, and, I never thought that would happen to me, and it was just a very, very surreal experience. They load you up on food. You at the end of the ceremony, they make you this huge plate of food, and then you're sitting around smoking cigarettes with all these men, and it's quite a interesting experience. And then at the end, they give you a massive box of food to take home to your family. So
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I feel very privileged to see the Muslim way of doing things, and it blew I don't know. You know, growing up in a primarily non-Muslim country, you hear a lot of things, and you
Right.
know, my whole perception was changed, sort of thing. And yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
I have to say that's one of the things, and I might ask you about your beliefs, so just mentally prepare for
Mm,
that
no
because we
worries. Yeah.
sometimes, um, I like to go into more philosophical things as well. But I have to say, one of the things I also learned to admire because for me as well, I don't, or not as well, but for me, I don't subscribe to a specific religion in general.
Mm,
I do see myself as a spiritual person, but I just am interested in what religion does for people, and I like to like observe the different rituals and stuff. And the things in Indonesia as well that astounded me is just um, compared to Christianity and the way it's basically been lived in Germany, where I grew up,
mm,
where it's pretty much just you call yourself a Christian. And obviously, there are people that do it more seriously, but overall, what I experience, like you just call yourself Christian,
people identify
you
as that.
you
Yeah.
go to church on Christmas, maybe, and I just really, while I was in Indonesia, admired their discipline.
Mm,
We would be doing like assignments from university, we meeting at some place, doing our group work, and then it's like the sun's going down, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do a break, right? Because we're gonna pray. And they went and into the corner and they prayed, and
they faced west, and yeah.
exactly, and it's like the most normal thing in the world, and and we had conversations about it a couple of times, and it's such a good thing in general, I believe, to give your day a routine, to
Mm,
have things where you can just anchor your day at. And that's basically what this prayer does, right? You start your day off like focusing on something. The middle of the day, you're refocusing. In the evening, you're refocusing. And um, yeah, I really liked uh, how disciplined and routinely it's practiced over there as well.
yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits to following a religion. I'm, not I'd say I maybe align myself similar to you, where I don't think you know, hard to put a word on it, but if I had to say I am one thing, I would say maybe agnostic, you know, where you
Right.
believe in believe this is what it means, that you believe in something, but you're not sure exactly. So I'm a
Yeah.
little undecided. I don't, don't know if there's one true God, all of that stuff, but I do believe in creation and things like that. And I think there's a lot of benefit you see from people that sort of dedicate themselves to that and brings like a richness into their lives. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think especially with them praying how many times a day? 5
Yeah, I think so.
supposed to, something like that. The first call to prayer from the mosque being at 4 or
That's
5
early.
a.m., which can be, for an outsider staying in the country, can be
I
quite an
loved
early wake up.
I loved it though. It was like you get so used to it, and it has a nice ring to it, you
Oh,
know?
yeah,
Even
if
though I
if you get
never
a good,
understood what they were saying.
I don't know if you call them like a,
Like a imam?
is
Uh,
that what they're called? Like the person who sort of does the call to prayer,
yeah. I
the chanting, singing
my
sort of thing?
90% sure it's imam.
Yeah, right. Oh man, hearing one of those people go, it's a real like sends shivers down your spine sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be sitting watching over the rice fields at 5 p.m. or whatever with sunset, and you'd
Mm,
hear them calling. You'd just think, wow, there's a real special feeling that you get when you hear that.
yeah. Um, yeah, so I don't even know how we got
To this point,
to uh we well, yeah, we basically just shared stories about Indonesia, and then I mean it is a Muslim country, so you
I think it's
do
the most populated Muslim country in the world. But you do
do
you
think
do
so.
have it's like so many islands, and you get there's a few islands that are Christian, there's a few that are Muslim, and one or two that are Hindu, sort of including Bali
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
there's a big mix.
Bali
Yeah,
itself isn't Muslim. It's yeah. I
mostly
feel like
Hindu. You've got a bit of everyone living there, but yeah,
you can tell as well, like if you're coming over from Java onto Bali, I feel like you can definitely tell that it's more Hindu like based.
you got the temples
Uh,
everywhere and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So you basically been to almost all of the islands, and you've been to
No, there's
Sumatra.
how many islands? I think there's 18,000 islands,
Well, I
or
mean, yeah,
yeah, the main ones. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, they have,
yeah.
they have a lot, and even I still don't think it's 1,000, but even when where we were in Jakarta, they had like where all the locals went, which was also such a cool experience because we basically ask our like the people we were studying with who were all locals because we were like 5 Germans that went over to study and we all rented a house together, so we were kind of living together, but then we all obviously wanted to mingle with the locals, so we always asked like, oh, so what can we do on the weekends, like well, how can we discover the country, where can we go, and they said like go to this place. um I don't know what it's called in Indonesian again. Um, we obviously learned Bahasa in school
Yeah.
there as well. So while I
You
was
speak
there,
Sedikit. Sedikit? It's
syndicate a little,
yeah, it
yeah, a
means to
little bit.
speak a little. Yeah.
So, um, and it's such an easy language to learn as well because there's no real grammar to it.
Mm.
So, we picked it up quite quickly actually. But if you don't speak it, you lose it.
I think it's quite a simple language. Is definitely I don't find myself, learning languages too easy, but the amount of words, and I could have like almost a basic conversation with a local by the
Yeah.
end of the sort of 6 months total I've spent there, which I guess you would pick up a bit in that time. But it's funny because there's actually some similarities in terms of the language between the New Zealand Maoris and
Oh,
the Indonesian Bahasa.
right.
Um, one example being that their numbers have like some of the words are very similar. We have
Mm.
two in Indonesian is dua,
Do
and in Maori it's rua with an R, and
mhm.
then five in Bahasa is lima, and then in Maori it's rima. So
Oh.
I have some. I don't know if I haven't seen any documentaries or anything on it, but I do believe they may have passed through there at some stage, or there'll be some sort of relation. Maybe it's coincidence, but yeah.
I mean, pretty much I'm catching myself talking about things today where I should know the words, but I just lost the words. But the Maori and also, you know, like the populations that you have in like South America as well, like the Easter Islands, and then also going into Southeast Asia, um, are all Polynesian. That's the word I was
Mm,
looking for.
yeah,
So um, I do feel like I don't know if it's scientifically correct, but it all like it is all kind of Polynesian, right?
mm,
So it kind of is originating from the same
place.
place pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's like the land that the Maori people say they came from. They call Hawaiki, and then
Right.
you've obviously got Hawaii up in the
Yeah.
north of the Pacific there. So whether or not there's a correlation there, um, yeah, it's a interesting thing.
Um I love it. We're all over again today. No,
It's
but those are the best
such a
ones.
whirlwind of ideas. Yeah.
Those are the best ones where it's just conversation just goes where it wants to go. Um I feel like I can make a nice transition um also with the theme of spirituality, which is for me when I was in Thailand, because basically when we were living in Indonesia, oh, now I know that I didn't tell my story to the end. Because yeah, we basically wanted to go to a place and ask the locals where we should go, and they told us, and I don't know the words in Indonesian, but it translates in English to the Thousand Islands.
Uh,
So,
sounds familiar.
so yeah, it's basically very close to Jakarta as
Oh, it's in
well.
the north,
Yeah,
in the mangrove sort of swampy area. I think I've seen it. It's a little bit north of Jakarta, is it?
yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically why I was telling this story is because definitely wasn't a thousand islands. It was maybe like 50 or 100.
Yeah. Right.
So they do have a lot of islands. But if it actually is, yeah. But there's so many small ones, and um, but it was also such a great experience just to also be like shown how different it is, because that's like where the locals go, like no tourists go there, and we basically they booked us in, like they were calling a friend in
Mm,
Bahasa and they were saying, oh, these five guys are coming and stuff. And um not gonna lie, at the beginning we were kind of shocked, it was like for the five of us, it was like one huge mattress, and then you have like the I'm sure you're aware, like the toilets, which we just very lovingly called holes in the ground. And
takes a good bit of getting used to.
and it was just like um not gonna make this a boys girls thing, but the girls were kind of like, how are we supposed to like do stuff here? And I was just kind of like, I guess that's life now. And with
Sink or swim.
all that being said, like we were, yeah, kind of in our hut there, like contemplating life, and then these lovely locals just came around with buckets of fish, and were while we were still sussing out uh the room that we were gonna stay in for the weekend. They were making a fire outside and putting the fish that they had caught on that day, putting it on there, and in their best English because we were completely new, hadn't learned a lot of Bahasa, were telling us to come out and cook the fish with them and getting us into conversation. And I was just like, wow, like this is amazing.
It's actually crazy how hospitable the Indonesian people are. They really go out of their way to
Yeah.
house you, cook, feed, you know, just man, I just never met people like that. There's great people all around the world, but in Indonesia, I experienced something truly special. Like they
Yeah.
just want you to be part of their experience and show you. It's quite cool.
It it is amazing. And I kind of feel the same way about Thailand as well because the people there were also always very, very open. And a lot of people tell me the same about Vietnam, which I didn't get to go to. Um, but yeah, I just feel like, and I've said this in different words a bunch of times as well on the podcast, but in countries where objectively you might say that the people are poorer and don't have as much wealth, however you want to define that, I do feel like they're a lot wealthier in the sense of that they just concentrate on the more important things. You know,
Mm.
they concentrate on community, they concentrate on, the kind of parties we had where they had like of course, this word I remember, the Anggumerk. I don't know if you ever had their red wine
Oh
that
no!
that
Oh, you mean in Indonesia
in
or
Indonesia.
the is it the palm wine?
Uh yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Like they always explain it to us like it's their moonshine
yeah.
pretty much. So the things that they just that the grandma, brews up and then everyone gets super cheap. So it's like, yeah, everyone's just, getting together their last money to like buy that off of the grandma of the town and just having parties and it was a good times.
I like that they appreciate the simple things. Like they're big on family. I think a thing there is that one it's almost like a status thing. If you have a large family,
Mhm.
people see that it's actually you're very like rich in a way that you have all these kids, and it's quite interesting. Like I don't know, I'm from a small family, so
Mm.
and seeing that made me realize that having a lot of people around you is a good thing. All being together and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do in Thailand? Where did you go all over, or
So basically I've seen three main things, which is the first time I went, we went to Phuket. So Phuket City, and then I think is it Phuket Beach? But it's basically on the other side. So Phuket's on the east, and then the beach was on the west. I don't know exactly what it was called. And we've been to like the islands as well, like with the cliffs, and then I should remember names of
oh, did you go to? It's a little bit further away, but is it called Krabi? Is it called Ao Nang or
Yeah,
Rayleigh Beach?
we didn't go all the way to Krabi,
Yeah.
but yeah, we made our way from Phuket along some of the
I think
islands.
along that whole I think throughout that part of Asia, there's a lot of limestone cliffs, and so, yeah,
Yeah,
you just get so many places with beautiful, beautiful beaches,
it's
and
amazing.
yeah.
And like one of the islands we went to, they had like this rock in the water. They told us the island was used for some James Bond movie to film
Oh,
at.
yeah. James Bond, okay, yeah,
R-
yeah. No, no,
Like
right. I'm
the
getting confused with, Koh Samui, I think, or one of
Mhm.
those islands. There was, a Leonardo DiCaprio film or something that
Oh,
was
the
also
the beach.
The Beach, yeah, was
Oh,
filmed
such a good
from
movie.
I haven't seen it before, yeah.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio, you caught me again. I'm gonna riff on this.
Yeah,
He's
go
my
on.
favorite actor. He's definitely my favorite actor. And um, funnily enough, though, I didn't know the beach. So obviously, I knew Titanic, as a teenager in Germany, it's one of the movies you had to have in your repertoire. It's like, you wanna come over, watch a movie, I always had Titanic going, and, Catch Me If You Can,
Oh
great
man, one of
movie.
my favorite movies of all time. But yeah,
S Such a Yeah, also for me being all over the place, always,
yeah.
wanting to do everything, such an inspiring movie, such a cool movie. Um, but yeah, actually it ties in with the Thailand story because, then when I was another time, so the second thing I saw in Thailand was Bangkok,
Mm.
when with another friend, and her and we been in Thailand for a week, and w someone just told us while we were at a bar and just drinking, some guy was telling us about that movie, and so I was like, "How did I not hear of it?" And I was going off. I was like, "He's my favorite actor. How did I not hear about this movie?" And, she didn't either, so, sure enough, next morning, in the hostel, we just watched it, and, it is such a great movie. It does, without spoiling anything, it does go off the rails for the last half hour.
All right,
Like, it really
keeps you guessing.
gets crazy there, the last end of it, but no, it's a great movie to watch, especially if you're, like, into backpacking and just, like, it's a cool movie to watch.
I love Thailand for a few reasons. I did the classic go to Koh Tao, the island famous for diving, and
Mm.
I did a couple scuba diving tickets there. It's
Alright.
got some good diving. It's more animals that you see more than coral there. It's beautiful,
Mm.
but I think you want to go to the other coast for more open sea where you get the more coral and things. So yeah, I had a good time in Koh Tao, and then where else? I did, of course, did the full moon party in Koh Phangan,
Coco
and
Pangán, yeah.
yeah, which I don't know. If you like your parties, go on and do it. But yeah, there's it's overrated. I think a little bit commercialized. Um, did rock climbing in Ao Nang and Riley Beach. That over those limestone cliffs, that was an incredible experience.
That
Um,
sounds amazing.
and the other thing I love is I love my martial arts and watching the UFC and things like that. So
Right.
I've always been interested in Muay Thai
Mm.
and their national sport. And I went and did a little bit of Muay Thai training over there, and that was an incredible experience. I can recommend to everybody. It's great way to get in shape and just uh, be part of it. I think it's got like they've got like religious things tied to it, and it's just a real experience. So
I heard as well from friends of mine that are into martial arts, it's just something else to do it actually in
in
Thailand,
Thailand, yeah,
like, um, and it's intense.
mm, you get there to the gym, they give you the skipping rope for the first 5 minutes. At the end of the 5 minutes, you're lying in a pool of your own sweat, and they say, "Okay, the class has now begun." And so yeah,
Wow.
you've got to bring liters and liters of water with you, otherwise
Right.
you are just a prune by the end of it. But incredible, yeah.
So, martial arts is one of the things that I also was always, like, passively interested in because
Mm,
I've never actually, done it, and like you said, I would probably be in a pool of my own sweat once I actually start. Um, but it's kind of a thing I admire about that as well. It is also just a discipline that it teaches you. I think it's a great sport to again learn more than like the sport itself, but
mm,
learn things for life. I
mm,
think, and probably Muay Thai, being one of the feel like jujitsu maybe is
mm.
also a great one to pick up, but Muay Thai, as well, just to teach you a lot more things about yourself and life in general.
Yeah, not just learning how to defend yourself, but I think there's a lot of positive benefits to that kind of thing. Pushing yourself, dedication, like you're saying, getting up, like people that train and do it every day. an incredible feat to get up every day, go and push yourself to that limit. And like
Yeah.
I was saying before, that if you go in the morning or something and you train, if you do something that hard in the morning, you start your
Mhm.
day off right, and I don't think everything else is that hard from there on out. So,
Yeah.
which yeah, that's something I want to get into a bit of a more morning routine. I'll wake up 5 minutes before I need to go to work, so I aspire to be like that.
That's why I love also to I in New Zealand, I kinda had to, because I was talking about this the other day at work as well. I was used to not working full time, which makes it easier, in my opinion, to have a routine and
Mm,
actually get the things done you want to get done. As in New Zealand, I was always lucky enough to find jobs that I could do like part time, work in the evenings, or in Christchurch, I was basically the weekend guy. So I actually had 5 days off, and then I
yeah,
worked
right.
Saturday, Sunday, 12-hour shifts, which was fine with me because I had the other 5 days off. And that's, I love to go to the gym early in the morning, wake up, go straight to the gym, and it just starts your day off differently. Like you said, there is something about it. And then you have done it, get home, you cook your nice meal, and then it's done, and the rest of the day it'll just flow.
Flow on, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I drive to work 15 minutes from the hostel every morning, and I pass South Beach here, beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Um, uh, as soon as the sun's up, or even before, you see there's a bunch of people down there that swim every morning. They just go and take a dip,
Oh,
put
really?
their head under, and I imagine you just go, "Whoa, I'm awake," and you're
Yeah.
off, sort of
Yeah.
thing. So I've gone, "Oh, that would be nice if I'd wake up that early."
But that's what I feel like. I mean, I'm not wanting to disencourage anyone who can do it, but for me personally, if I'm working 8 hours a day, and obviously it is a illusion because now I've working 8 hours a day. I came back and we're doing this podcast and I'm
Mm,
as energized as ever, but you
the
just,
grind never stops, brother.
yeah, true that. But it just feels like you're telling yourself like you don't have energy left.
Mm,
You get up, like you said, if I have to be at work, or have to leave the hostel at 9, of course you're not gonna get up at 7. You're gonna lay in bed until it's time for you to get under the shower, and then you leave straight away, and then get back home. You cook yourself dinner, and then yeah, you just hang out with the mates, talk a little bit, and go back to bed.
mm,
For me, I feel like having that full-time job just makes it for me harder to do my routine, even though I know I love to go to the gym. Like
mm,
once I'm there, I know let's go, but I just don't make the time
mm.
anymore.
Yeah, I definitely experienced that because when I first got to the hostel, I had no job. There was a lot of free time. I
Yeah.
found myself just getting so busy, doing all these different activities and things. I was having the time of my life. Still am now, but I eventually, push came to shove and I needed to find a job. I was lucky enough to find one quite fast. So I think within a month of getting to the hostel, I was in full time work. And just
Right.
the change I noticed from being this person that had all this energy, social energy sort of thing, I just, I can't shut up when I have all the energy. So now you get home and you just don't quite have that energy. Like you're saying, you just need to push yourself to do some more stuff. Like you do have it in you, but it's quite easy to fall in the habit of going, "Oh, I've worked so hard today, la la la, gonna go and just sit in bed and watch my show,"
Yeah.
and then you just only have the weekends to really go do stuff. So yeah, it's just about pushing on and
And I'm just gonna use this to make a statement because
mm,
I feel like making statements today. Um, and what do they always say? This is not financial advice. Don't. but
disclaimer.
but I have been having these conversations lately with a lot of people, and I do feel like it's a common theme. So obviously there is no answer to it either because we all do need money, and that's just the way the system is. And obviously, go get your money and all that. But I do feel like if you're not working full time, or if you can find a way to monetize a hobby that you're doing, I feel like objectively you're gonna live a more productive life. I think
Mm,
that's how I'm gonna phrase it. Because like you said, you're still having the time of your life. Like, I'm not unhappy at
mm,
all. Like, I'm still at the hostel playing pool in the evening, and it's like, uh, all is good. I'm not going to say, like, my life is horrible because I'm working full time now, but I feel like there is more important things for me to do
mm.
than selling solar.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey, Tom, which is my boss.
yeah.
Um, and if you do have, like you said, if you do have just free time, we are like majority of people are gonna use it in a way that they want. Like, if you know you're gonna have 7 days in a row off, you're not gonna sit there and watch Netflix for 7 days in a
Mm,
row. You might do it, maybe you might maybe do it for a day, but after a while you'd be like, oh, now I'm wanna do this, I wanna do that. And um yeah, I feel like giving up your time to serve someone else in order for you to get money just, yeah, mentally takes away that energy and kind of discourages you from doing things
mm.
that you really want to do. I don't know if I was clear enough or not, but I just felt like
No,
like
fair
putting that
enough.
out there.
I think, yeah, what I took from that is that I suppose, we've all got to make a living. So if you can find something that's a passion to do for money, hopefully, we all want that. That's the dream, I guess.
That
I'm
is
still
the
looking.
dream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So if there's any sponsors out there that want to pay me to be featured in the podcast, I'm right here. Just saying. Um, but anyway, we already talked quite a while as well. I just looked at the time here. I do feel like we could talk for a lot more. We could find more topics and then just
mm,
lose ourselves in those topics as well. Um, and yeah, now a couple of questions about diving just popped into my head
oh
as
yeah,
well because you were talking about scuba diving as well, and um, because obviously that makes sense. You're telling us in the beginning you're a man of the sea or of water at least.
drawn to it. Yeah.
Um, so is that something you actually been I guess certified in as well? That's what you do, right, for scuba
Yeah.
diving?
So I did the PADI organization. I did the open water certificate, which is the 20 meters certification. You're allowed to go down to 20 meters.
Right.
This is all supervised, obviously, until you get your dive master. So I did that. That was in Indonesia, in a beautiful place called, where was it? It's an island just off Indonesia. Anyway,
Mhm.
um, off Bali. And then I went over to Koh Tao and I did the 30 meters and 40 meters. And
Wow.
yeah, you get to see. There's a bit more stuff you get to see. They say a lot of the things you want to see are in the first 20 to 30 meters. So
Mhm.
the need to have the 40 isn't so necessary if you're just doing it as a hobby. But if I mean, so yeah, I think you once you get into it, you just go, I want that, and I want that ticket, and I want that ticket, and carried
Yeah.
away. So yeah, it was awesome. Spent a couple weeks doing that, and oh, it's just a different world down there, right? You hear things, people tell you about how awesome it is, and you go, oh yep, and then you go do it, and you're like, wow, that totally lives up past the hype, sort of thing. Just such a different experience. Yeah,
What is the deepest that you are allowed to go?
I'm
Because
allowed to go to 40 meters.
So are they doing, like, deeper certificates as
I
well?
think if you become
'Cause I feel like
a
at
I
some
think that's
point
about the max for a recreational diver. I'm not
yeah.
sure. You can get your dive master, and then you can get I think there's one above that, which is instructor and something like that. That all stays around that sort of depth, and then you get into the commercial diving where, one of my friends has just got into I think he was in Norway training.
Oh, sh
So, yeah, they suit up in those, the real retro old, diving suits with the big, like, brass-looking helmet on.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So he's been doing that, and, yeah, I think they go a lot deeper sort of thing, the saturation
Mhm.
divers, they call them. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
There's and again, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but probably not. I'm just answering my own question, but do you ever get like, is there people that get down to the deeps depths where, like, you got all these ugly looking fish, like, super down deep down, like the guy with the like, that
the
has the line
anglerfish.
the
Yeah,
anglerfish,
yeah.
like, is that depths that you can at all, like, go down
I'm
to?
not sure about how deep they are. I think once you start to get those super translucent, like the see-through, those ones, I think you're talking in the hundreds of meters sometimes, but I'm not sure about the
Right.
anglerfish. I think everything down to 40 meters or around there, there's still a lot of light that tracks through,
Mhm.
because you get a lot of colorful things, and I think after 40, 50 meters, the light starts getting a lot less, and then I think you get into that region of,
Right.
the strange and unusual. Yeah.
So, where you were, diving in Indonesia, because again, I'm gonna pull out my professor,
Mm.
um, because he was into all of that stuff as well. He was also doing his, scuba diving and stuff, and he showed me, yet again, videos, of him diving. I don't know exactly where it was. It might have been the places you mentioned, but, it was like a kind of even like uh, I don't know exactly how you call it, like I was gonna use a German word, like a strudel.
Are you talking about like a current or something?
Yeah, it's like a whirly kind of
Yeah,
thingy, and
whirlpool.
he was, like, in there, diving with sharks. You could
Oh,
see the sharks, like, going around there, and that looked pretty impressive. And, that was definitely in Indonesia somewhere,
yeah.
so I don't know if that's what you experienced as well?
I've only seen the odd reef shark.
Mm,
You do get to see the most incredible things in that part of the world. I think it's between Indonesia and the Philippines. You have, correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhere close to 70% of the world biodiversity, um,
right.
in flora and fauna. I think it's either coral or coral and animals. You get like 70% of the world's underwater life living in the Golden Triangle, which is this
Wow.
triangular shape between Philippines, Indonesia, that sort of region of the sea. So that's
Yeah.
why it's so renowned for diving. And, yeah, people just get lost in the sauce there. They go
Mm,
get underwater there and never want to leave. Yeah, my friend just got a new job over there on some remote island, and she's just absolutely crazy about it with the photography and all these crazy
nice.
animals. Yeah, it's a lifestyle there. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Have
every
you ever
time
scuba dived before?
I did it one time, actually in Australia,
Yeah, right.
the last time I've been, so I have already before I came now, I've been to Australia after my year in Indonesia because I was pretty close. So I, did the East Coast for 2 months,
Yeah.
going up from Melbourne all the way to Cairns, and in Cairns, I did a scuba dive at
At the
Great
reef,
Barrier
the Great
Reef.
Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
Wow, that would be an experience. Yeah.
And it was my first ever. I mean, obviously, being so touristy, they offered it, like, you don't need any experience, we teach you, and then you went down with someone who basically held on to you,
Yeah.
and man, it was amazing. It's like we've seen, and it's already like 7, 8 years ago. I don't know if the reef, I hope it is, but I don't know if the reef is still as colorful as it was back then.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. We saw turtles, we saw little fit, we seen like loads of Nemos as well, and just it is amazing. It's an amazing feeling to just all of a sudden be floating through those depths and
The feeling of weightlessness and just being in this
yeah,
bright color maze.
not really knowing how to really move as well in the beginning. Like,
Yeah, right.
where am I going? What am I
Buoyancy
doing?
issues, and yeah, at least they're holding you down there and
Yeah,
not making you go up or down too fast.
no,
Uh,
but it was really cool. But that's the only time I've ever did it.
you know how everybody says, you know, when you go to Australia, it's the Great Barrier Reefs. It's just like the spot to go see. You know, there's a version of that on the west coast here.
Oh,
Is
is it?
the Ningaloo Reef? Maybe you've heard about it. It's up north from here, going up the coast a bit. It's I think it's around the Exmouth region.
Right.
You get incredible. You get whale sharks and things like that turn up, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, they say it's just incredible as
The
well.
Ningaloo
Yeah, it
Reef.
might be a little bit less known about. Who knows? But yeah, I've dived with whale sharks before. That was an incredible experience as well. Just knowing that
Huge
there's
animals.
animals that large in the water is a little bit freaky. They're super friendly, but
Right.
seeing a 10 to 12 meter long shark, yeah, it's a humbling experience. Yeah, yeah, feel small.
I'm actually so sad that I used this episode to talk so much because you have incredible stories. It's crazy the things you've seen and
It's where it all comes out, right? Just letting it flow.
yeah, it I don't know if I would have swam. eh, I'm just trying to l- like these experiences. I mean, obviously, if you're telling them it never does them justice. You
Mm.
had to be
Oh,
there. So
yeah, of
I,
course.
I'm always imagining things. So right when you said it, I was like, that must be being next to a whale shark, and like,
You got to go do it, man.
I guess so.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can do like tours and things like that, and they go find them for you. And
Right.
yeah, yeah.
S-
That's why we're traveling, man, right? We're there to see it all. I don't know when I'll stop, to be honest. I think it's a lifelong thing now,
I think
in
so.
it for the long run. It's just too much to see and not enough time, I think.
That's the thing. Like sometimes we talk about that on the podcast as well. It's like, uh, are you gonna settle down? Where are you gonna settle down? It's and a lot of times, and for me personally, it's like, well, where would I even settle down? It's like I don't feel like right now, if you would force me tomorrow to settle down somewhere, Portugal is definitely in the lead. But even there, I just didn't have a place yet where I'm 100%. Yeah, that's the place
Mm.
forever. Mainly because of what you said. It's just, it's kind of the, what do the kids these days call it? FOMO.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you just, there's
Travel
always
FOMO.
something else.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
always want to see more. You want to see the things you don't know yet. You want to
Oh,
experience the unknown, you
too
know?
much. So much rogue, random things out there. Like, I had a friend that's traveled, done the Kyrgyzstan and traveled through the
Right.
mountains, and they bought like a $500 car, and then the brakes broke, and a local man tied their brakes back together with sticks and rope, and just all these incredible
Amazing.
stories. I mean, sometimes, I don't know, a lot of stuff happens in those trips, but and yeah, other friends, they go, one thing I want to do is go to Mongolia, and you rent or buy a horse, and you take
Yeah.
that on a trekking experience, go see the nomadic tribes and things like that. It's just it's all out there, man, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
One of my things, and my friends and my family knows this as well. Like for me, Nepal,
Mm.
Tibet, I definitely have to see it at some point. It's also, again, to bring religion into it a little bit, I was always amazed of Buddhism.
Mm.
And I just feel like especially, I mean, Mongolia is part of it too, right? Like this whole region, there must be some kind of energy to it. I feel like, and then the Himalayas and all that. It, there's so much. There's so many places to see.
Yeah,
Never
you're gonna go
ends.
do the so that I've been told to do the Annapurna circuit, I believe, which
Yeah,
is like the other side of Everest as well.
yeah. Well, now that we hopefully have infested, is that an English word?
Yeah.
Infested everyone with the travel bug,
Yeah.
by just rambling off. I feel like it is a good uh place to call it. I really enjoyed it. It was amazing stories. And uh yeah, the best episodes are the ones where we just go all over the place,
Mm,
but we still figured out ways to bring in your experiences with the sea, which are always magical, which is always nice to talk about. So I appreciate you taking 1.5 hours we did now.
wow, it's been that long.
Yeah. So I appreciate you being on here. I enjoyed it a lot, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
No worries. Anytime again.
Yes, certainly.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. And with that, bye everyone.
See you later.